Hey everyone, it's Paul from the Angry Iowan YouTube channel. If you're ever looking at doing some of your own residential wiring, whether it be a garage, an addition, or a cabin, anything of that nature, there's a few things that you really need to look for to make it a success. The very first thing is know where your source is going to come from so that you can plan out exactly how you're going to run your wire. And that becomes very, very important because it'll have to take into consideration the size of your boxes, the size of your wire, the cable clamps, everything. The important part is make sure you know where your source comes from first. That's the very first stage in order to plan everything out. So in this configuration, my source is going to come in over here. I determine that, and then from that I know that I can run from this box to this box, up to my switch, and then from my switch to my light, and then I'll probably put another light over here, and then eventually I'll show you how to do, maybe put another switch over here and do a three-way switch, and show you how to operate either light, both lights, whichever way, that we do it. But this is a very basic configuration, but there's a lot of things that you really need to understand to do things right if you're going to do it yourself. As far as the boxes go, these are just standard boxes that you would use in a residential room, garage, cabin, whatever. Basically, they're built for outlet switches. But what's very important about this is it says a lot about the size of the wiring and the size of the conductors, how many you can actually fit into a box. So by law, all of these actually have in there by the size of the wire that you're going to use. So I've got 12 gauge wire that I'm using, and I can have 8 conductors. So this box will fit 8 conductors. So what's a conductor and what does all that mean? So when you look at a switch like this is an outlet, this is the exact same size box. You have 2 coated wires on this. You have 2 coated wires on that. Each of those, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then your outlet, 5, 6, so there's 6, and then you'll have a ground coming out of each one of these. Your grounds, all connected together, equal 1. So in this configuration, I'll have 7, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then all my grounds together will be 7. So this box would be adequate for that because this will allow up to 8. And that's very important. If you think about it, if you brought your source in from here, came down, and then you wanted to go that way to feed an outlet and go this way to feed an outlet, you just wouldn't have enough room inside this box, and it wouldn't be code because you now have 6 insulated wires, and it's not. Along with your ground, along with your 2 conductors, it just wouldn't work. So those are very important things to understand when you're actually wiring in a residential setting. The other thing to be very, very careful about is when you drill your holes to run your wiring, especially on 2x4s. 2x6s, you got a little more leeway, but on a 2x4 stud, you've only got an inch and a half and an inch and a half on each side. That's code. So on a typical 2x4 stud, the stud itself is only really 3.5. So that gives you a ½ inch in the center to be able to be code with inch and a half on each side. Inch and a half and inch and a half is 3 inches, so that gives you a ½ inch for your wire to run through. And what that's for is obviously when you go to pound in, your walls from this side, or you go to pound in your walls from this side, they obviously don't want cutting through the wire. The other thing are your cable clamps. Put your cable clamps in. Code in most areas is 8 inches from where it enters the box. I always go closer. Mine's usually more like 4 or 5. And then on these 2x4 walls, you obviously can't bring the cable out any farther because you got to have your inch and a half on each side. So they do make what they call double thick clamps. So basically you got a clamp, or your wire fits in, you got your clamp, and then your next wire fits in, another clamp, another. It's basically, and that's what these are down here. Obviously this is just a makeshift room. It pulls anywhere. I can pull it out of the garage, I can collapse it, I can do whatever I want. It's not attached to anything. I basically just built it for experiments. When I go to do my solar power and introduce DC into AC into this configuration. So that's the only reason that I actually built this, and to kind of give you guys an idea of how I'm going to do it. So if you have any questions, let me know. The next video I'll be showing you how to actually take the sheathing off, how to connect everything together, and like I said, I'll probably put another light or two up here and maybe do some three-way switches and give you different examples of how we can wire in that kind of configuration. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.